So yesterday, I had the Kioti K9 out at this dried lake bed on my back, at the back of my property, and just basically was just scouting out the area. Even though it's a dried lake bed, there are a lot of deadheads in here. There's no water. It's just kind of, it's not even really that swampy, but there are some wet spots. So basically, the tie rod on the left side snapped when I was going straight, but I had drove over some stumps earlier and stopped and backed up, and I'm only crawling along at 2 miles an hour. And basically, so yesterday the track left hand side tie rod broke. Last year the tie rod broke, and it was me wedged up against a tree, and I was reefing on the steering wheel trying to get the tracks to turn to drive away from the tree. And just by reefing on the wheel, the tie rod broke, which I kind of thought, well, maybe I was just really being abusive or something, you know, gunning it and stuff like that. But now that this one broke on the left side, just looking at them, they're not very beefy. So, but I look at it this way: it's almost like a shear pin. It's better to break a tie rod that's $60 than bend something in the steering, like in the hydraulic steering, which would cost more, and it's a lot harder to fix. Tie rods are easy. Like, basically what we got here is I got my Kioti tractor out here, and it doesn't really have the ground clearance that the K9 does. So as I'm going along, I'm cutting the deadheads so that I can get a non-destructive route to get to it. Because as you'll see later in the video, the track is wedged underneath the front of the machine, and I'm not carrying a jack back here. My floor jacks are too heavy. So basically this is where we're at. We're trying to get over to that to lift it up with these so I can straighten it, put the new tie rod in, and drive it out. Because what happened this time is, last time I was sitting still, and this time I was moving, so the track flipped inward at the front and ripped the outer CV, completely exploded it. So looking at it, the A-frames are fine, upper and lower A-frames are fine, everything looks fine, except for the, like I said, the tie rod steering joint is broke, which I've got that right here in the tractor, and the CV blew apart. But I called the dealer, and you have to buy a whole new axle. So the axle, they just called me and said the axle already came in, so that was nice that the parts are quick and available out of Toronto. Anyways, so let's continue this journey to get over there, and then I'll show you the damage. But I think I can drive it out under two-wheel drive in these tracks I'm making, and get it back to the garage, where I'd have to drop the lower A-frame, pull the axle out. It's pretty easy too. It's just the 2 bolts on the lower A-frame, swing the bottom of the A-frame out, and then throw the new axle in, slide it in the, I got to take that track off so I can get at the nut, the king nut or whatever they call it at the side. Anyways, let's wait till I get over there. So basically I made it with the tractor. Had to stop a few times to cut some deadheads. Most of the problem isn't the deadheads, because you just go real slow. It's the trees that are laying down and they're angled at a funny angle, and it steers the tractor over to the left, and then you get stuck in a rut. But anyways, we made it. So yeah, pretty sure that's not good. Anyways, so I got the tie rod here. Actually, I'll show you that in a minute. So basically what happened this time, because I was going forward, even though I was only going about 2 kilometers an hour, it broke the tie rod here, steering. Of course, then this thing turns in, and it fucking, pardon my French, I'll have to delete that. And it turns out, and then it rips this thing off. So looking at it, I think that's it. The axle comes complete. So, and then I just got to undo the bottom A-frame, drop that down, put the new axle in, take this track off, undo the king nut, tie that back up. Should be a pretty quick fix, but I don't want to do it out here. But I got to get this thing going straight, so I can either drive it with rear wheel drive, because they're fine, and basically, yeah, just look, it really wasn't, like I said, I had come against some stuff earlier, but there was really nothing here. Maybe that could have started it. Anyways, so yeah, I gotta get this thing lifted up. I don't have a tripod or nothing, so you guys don't get to watch. I gotta lift it up, bang that old bolt out. I've got the new tie rod in the tractor and the tools to get this thing pointing in the right direction. All right. Okay, so after waiting a couple days for the new tie rod and the new axle, I've got the new tie rod installed. So there we go. But I'm not going to do the axle out here in this swamp. So I'm going to try to drive it back with just two-wheel drive. That should be fine. It just kind of dangles there. I won't have it engaged, so there should be no power to the front. So basically I need to get through this broken area, out over there about a quarter mile, and then down the trail. Once I get to the trail, I think I'll be fine. I just don't want to get stuck in here because I only have rear wheel drive. Anyways, let's give it a shot. So first little bit, it's not wanting to go. It really needs the four-wheel drive. There we go. Just gotta make sure I don't break that tie rod again. Got a stump right here on the left. Alright, now that it's moving, it seems to be a lot better. Stumps here. I've chainsawed them all up while I was waiting for the part. Yeah, looks like we'll be making it, I guess. Almost there. A lot smoother. Once we get there. We got a big storm coming tonight, so I really wanted to get this out of here before it gets buried, and I can't get out two-wheel drive. Here we are. Back. I took the tractor back, but I parked it up ahead here. I cut across the forest to get to this thing. So I took a shortcut, but it's not clear to be able to drive out that way, but I can walk it. There's too many trees down. So we should be coming up on the tractor pretty soon. gotta get both of these back to the house. I gotta kind of play leapfrog. Drive this, come back, get the tractor, drive it, come back, and then, you know. So here's the tractor. I'm gonna get out and bring the tractor first in case this, I got a swamp to cross, which has got some pretty good ruts in it in case I get stuck. But I'll let you go, and then I'll be back. So I'm just walking back to the K9, the side-by-side. So yeah, it's December 22nd. It's supposed to get anywhere from 10 to 50 centimeters tonight. Well, they're saying, first they said 10 to 15, and now they're saying 25 to 50. But when they usually they know this far in advance, it usually is not what they forecast. It usually is a big nothing. But anyways, I guess it's stretching all the way from Toronto up to Ottawa. So I need to get this out of here today in case we get 50, because this would not want to come out of here with just two-wheel drive. It seems to be driving okay. Like on the lake bed there, it was a little bit, the swamp, it was a little bit hit and miss, but it seems to be going good now. And I see something underneath the back. Check that out, something hanging. Just a piece of tree, yeah, it is. Someone's got to clean this place up. Let's see if we can get to the tractor. I'll do this a few times. Got it in low and lock. Two-wheel drive though. Alright, let's see if we can get through this low. It's like a marshy, swampy river crossing right here. Some pretty big ruts. Oh, that was alright. Yeah, that's about the worst of it. The rest is all pretty easy. Yeah, basically we'll just be playing leapfrog for the next probably 2 kilometers before I get back. Anyways, we'll tune you guys in when I start taking the front apart. So here we are, a few days later. I got it in the garage. So anyways, basically it looks like it's just come apart. There's obviously some sort of ring that holds this in place. I've lost all the ball bearings, so it's not like broken. It just shattered that housing. I've got this end of it over here. Basically, yeah, this thing came out of that cup. There's 2 ball bearings. Anyways, this isn't really a how-to video on how to repair this thing. It was just a story, but there's the new axle. And as it turns out, I've done front axles on 4-wheel drives before in cars, and they just pop out with a clip ring. So I've tried to pry the old one out by prying against that. It's not like that. There's a clip. You have to actually undo the housing. I'll show you. But way in there, you can see a bolt. There's 3 bolts that come undone, and then that plate comes out with the axle, and there's a clip on the inside. So I'm glad I didn't pry to the point where I'm going to break it. Before I looked online. There's a what do you call it? Kubota. Their UTV is the same, and that's where I found out you have to undo those 3 bolts. Anyways, so I'm going to drop the shock, get this up out of the way, pull that out. I got to probably undo the lower A-frames to get it to reach. Put the new one back in there. But anyways, that's where we're at. So that went really well. So got the new axle in there, right here. Undid the shock, lifted it up, undid the lower A-frame, dropped it down, strung it up with zip ties, unbolted those 3 bolts, pulled the axle out, put the new axle in, everything fit, went very smooth, almost too smooth. So everything's buttoned up here. I just got to put the track back on the front, and then I'm going to try to find the fill plug for the diff, because when I pulled the axle out, I lost about, I don't know, 3 or 4 ounces of oil out of there. It doesn't smell like gear oil. They're saying online that it is hydrostatic oil that goes in there. And yeah, so get this back together, and then I'll bring it over to the hoist and lift it up and check to fill that oil, and then we'll go for a boot.